live now. Of course, I had to spend the first few minutes trying to find my live stream. Excuse me. And today we're going to talk about Avastar 2. I'm going to give an overview of Avastar 2. And just talk about all the different features and whatnot. So let me find my live stream and then I can give out the link to everybody. And as I've said before, I try and cut this part of the video out. Why is it so hard to find the live stream? Live streaming. There we go. Okay. Watch it on the web page. There we go. Hello. So we have people already here. Look at that. I don't even have to send out links. That's nice. Okay, let's turn the sound off here. Okay, let me just hand out these links and we'll be ready to go. What am I talking about today? Avastar 2 overview. Avastar 2 overview. Q&A. Q&A with the link. Maybe I should put live streaming in there. Live streaming. Okay. And let's copy that. And that was to my own group, I think. There we go. And I appreciate everybody hanging around for this part. I know this is kind of a pain in the ass. And I have a few more links here to go to. Paste, publish, and we'll do Twitter, and with some hashtags, SL, and Second Life, and there we go, tweet. All right. So we're going to talk about Avastar 2 today, and I'm just going to go over all the different features in it. Let's log out of Second Life here. That way we can have a little bit better stream with better audio. Hello, Indy. Jalissa, how you doing? Nisha says she's been waiting for this one. Avastar overview. Okay. All right. Everybody can see. So here I am in Avastar, or in Blender. I have a new scene started. I'm going to delete the cube and I'm going to add a new Avastar. Now we have only rig options, so if you're making an unusual avatar and you don't need the avatar meshes, then you would choose only rig, but we're gonna choose the whole avatar here. And I'll select all and hit period to zoom in here. And I hate working in perspective, so I always hit 5 on the keyboard, so I'm in orthographic mode. We'll open up this side panel, go to the Avastar tab, and here we have all of our different options here in Avastar. Real quickly, if you hit N on the keyboard, you'll get the other side panel, And there are a number of different options like this IK control that's related to Avastar and rig control that's related to Avastar. So when I click on any of these bones, I get this. It shows how far the bone limits are, and to me that can be annoying, although it's good information. So I can select all bones here and disable that. So, and that also disables the rotation, so I can actually go past what I could before. So if you want those limits put on yourself, it does help, especially for newer animators. So let's go through the different options we have here. And of course, we do have chat, so if anybody wants to ask a question in chat, you know what? I'm going to, yesterday I put that chat window up here, and I know I'm hurting for screen space here, especially streaming, but I do like having this chat window open for anybody to see. Of course, if it gets crazy, I'm going to have to hide it. So we'll have it take up as little room as possible and still be able to see Avastar here. Okay, so let's go through each one of the panels here. We have our settings panel, and we have different options depending on what your level is. Of course, I'm always, and this is not to say that I know everything about Avastar. I always have it on expert mode. And the higher you go up, the more options you're going to see. In basic mode, you'll see a lot of these options disappear. And if you're doing something basic, this does help, because then you're not cluttered with all this information you don't need to know about. Okay, but of course I always keep it on expert. And then we have our different options for our workflows. So skinning, if we click on that, now our bones go to skinning, but if we want to skin meshes, we have to select our mesh, and then we'll see all these weights for skinning. And then we have the pose and animate option. So we can now animate our retargeting. Retargeting has to do with retargeting animation, and that is a part of Avastar, but we're not going to go over that today. So if you want to retarget BVH files or anything like that, you would use retarget. And joint edit, which is probably the most interesting for everyone. And in joint edit, you can move bones around, of course. But most of the time, we're going to stay on pose to see a lot of the features that we have here. We have our appearance panel. Okay, now our appearance panel has to do with different morphs that relate to how things morph in Second Life. So if you ever want to see how your avatar is gonna change in Second Life with these new bento rigs, then you would use the appearance editor to do all that. And we have has all the sliders that we have in Second Life. Rig display. Display is pretty important. Here we can show or hide any bones that we want. A lot of times I will turn structure off. Here we have all of the face bones, hind bones back here. We have our hand bones, wing bones. There's a groin bone. There's the tail. And we have two sets of eye bones. If we look here, we have eye left and we have face eye alt left. So we have two sets of different eye bones. Either one can be used, and they both are affected by all the things that eyes are affected in Second Life. So we have also an alt focus. This focus is used to move both sets of eyes around. Okay, so if you use focus, generally speaking, I don't use it very much because I like my eyes to be controlled by the system. There are times where I will animate the eyes, but it's not all that usual. So the next group we have is deform bone groups. So these are all the bones that use deform. Now, deform, how would you... These are bones that get weights added to them. Or the meshes get weights added to them for these bones. So these are all the bones that get weights added to move your avatar or your mesh around. You could also weight things to the attachment points. So let's turn all these off. So we just look at attachment points. So you could weight things to attachment points too and move those around. But that's all the deform bones right there. All the deform and attachment points, and you can rig anything to any one of these bones. All right. And structure bones are just, you don't really animate these bones. These are just bones that are part of the chain. Part of the chain of the skeleton. So that's the rig display. We normally, when you start up Avatar or Avastar, you have these custom bone shapes. So a lot of people like using these. Generally speaking, because I work on all these strange avatars, I don't use the custom shape, and I usually use the stick option, and I usually turn limits off. And of course you want to be able to, you want X-ray on to see through, to see your bones. So that's rig display. Rig configuration. Generally speaking, I don't touch this panel much. And I don't want to speak too much about it because, again, I don't use it all that much. So I don't want to push people down a path that is wrong here. But like I said, generally speaking, I don't really touch this panel all that much. I can imagine reasons for using this panel, but I don't want to get into that because I don't want to confuse people. Skinning tools. Okay. Now, one thing I want people to understand too is depending on what you're selected on, depends on the tools you get. So if I'm selected on the mesh, I will get one set of tools here. And if I'm selected on the rig, I will get a different set of tools here. So I have no skinning tools when I'm just selected on the rig. If I select the mesh, then I get some skinning tools. If the mesh is not rigged, you will get a different set of skinning tools. So no sliders is exactly what it means. Appearance sliders are where your avatar gets attached to the appearance sliders, and that's this option. So if, let's go with this head size. So all the sliders will work, but you need to make sure you're on appearance sliders. Shape keys, I think they're doing appearance sliders slightly different now, because before they used to use shape keys, and now they're doing it different, so I think we still have a shape key option there too. All right, so skinning tools when you don't have a rigged mesh. So I'm going to real quickly, hopefully I don't break something here, get rid of this. So now if I select the mesh, I have a different set of options here. Right now I have no option, but if I select the mesh and then the rig, I should get a different set of options for skinning tools. So I need to select the mesh and then the rig, and then I get these options. I can bind to armature, and because this is an Avastar, I'll just do this real quick. No eye bones, because we're not dealing with eye bones, so let's just attach that. Huh, look at that. Got messed up. Figures that has to happen live, doesn't it? Attach sliders, clear weights. Anyways, I'm not going to go into why it did that, but or at least I'm not going to figure it out right now. Posing. So the next panel we have, so let's select a bone. Let's get rid of the mesh selection. Why am I? Okay, there we go. Let's just select a bone, and we are in our posing. We have pose position and rest position. So if you're making a custom avatar which has different bone positions, then you're going to have a unique rest position, and that gets created once you customize where your bones are or customize your skeleton. You would need to convert to, and probably these options should be selected, convert to bind pose, and then that will save your joint positions in your new skeleton. And then when you want to animate, you would need to be on this pose position. And when you do a custom avatar, these two, when you switch and your avatar pose is in all of its default rotations, these should look exactly the same when you switch between them. Your avatar should look exactly the same. Now, if you go into a different pose or something, of course, these aren't going to be the same anymore. Bind pose is an option where you can, if you read it, you can set the bind pose and then not have to choose joint offsets when you upload. So that gets into a much deeper topic, so I'm not going to get too much into that today. So now we're down to tools. Tools for this setup is used to update your rig or clean up your rig. If we select different parts, now we select this mesh or this mesh. So remember, this mesh is not rigged, so we have a different set of options here in your tools, and then a rigged mesh will give you another set of options here. Cleaning up weights, I'm not going to go through every button here, but cleaning up weights is somewhat of a new button added, and if you have all kinds of, you weight your character and you have all kinds of these crazy weights all over from every bone, you can click this button and it'll help to clean up your vertex groups. Okay, so that's a look at tools. And armature info, this is a great one. You can look at, are you using the latest rig? Right here, I am using the latest rig. So this would be the latest rig that Avastar, the Avastar program that you have installed is using, and this is the rig that you are currently on. So mine are both the same, so I'm fully updated. And some maintenance stuff for the window. Do we have any other? When we select on the mesh, Notice all the different options that we get. Remember, this bottom one is a rigged mesh. We get all these different tools. Here's one option we haven't seen yet. The Collada exporter. You have to use this exporter if you're going to do rigged mesh. You cannot use the default DAE that will not work on a rigged mesh. You have to use the Avastar one, or you should use it. Mesh info, and then you get a whole other set of options for unrigged meshes. So that's the tab, the Avastar tab. When we go into animation, real quickly, I want to show kind of how the retargeting window works and how nice it is. So I'm going to import an animation here. Where are we at? I'll go like this. Let's just use this one. Okay. So when you bring in a rig, real quickly, the rig is really huge. Now if you go to the animation window, a lot of times you will have to reapply this source. It's chosen the correct source here. This mapping, if we open this up, these are all the bones and includes all the new bento bones. And you can guess mapping. This doesn't always work. But if you have a rig that was done on an SL skeleton, it will likely pick up a lot of these bones. Constantine says hello in chat. We have 14 people watching right now. So I'm not going to go into how you would manually add these bones and everything, at least not today. But real quickly, I'm going to show the skeleton always comes in super large. So we have this option at the bottom to match scale. And if I hit period on the keyboard, now we're about the same size as our Avastar rig. So there's our BVH, and here's our Avastar rig. So that matches, and then I'm not going to go into how to transfer these motions, but I just want to give a look at the panel, how it works, access to all the bento bones. So if you have this, if you make this crazy custom rig, or you made it for another platform, or whatever, you could easily convert animations over. So that's the animation window. Let's get rid of that rig. And there are some other options in the properties window. So I think that's kind of the last bit that we're going to talk about with the Avastar features. And if we're selected on a bone and we scroll down under the object tab or object option, we see Avatar Shape IO. So you can import a custom XML right there, load a shape. You can save a shape that you made in your appearance slider here. Refresh shape, delete Avastar meshes. So all the default meshes you could delete right from this panel. We also have a copy of the appearance panel over underneath object here with a bone selected. Avatar materials, this is interesting. So with bento bones, like earlier today, I was animating the face, and it's nice to have a texture on the face. So if I'm using a female here, if I choose female here, and I go into, not texture, maybe a material option, Yes, I can see. I don't have no light in this scene. So she now has materials, and of course I can apply these materials, the textures, in other ways so that it shows in solid. I don't think it will right off the bat. I have to apply it to the mesh. But those, some material options, that's really nice. And here are your default Second Life expressions and hand poses. This can be important to use if you want bento animation to work with normal default avatars. So if you want to have a bento animation with custom hands, hand animation. Hiss says hello. Looks like Constantine. No, as before. Oh well, I don't know. There, that has to be done. Subtitles have to be done manually, so it does take a lot of time. Even though there is an automatic system. Anyways, we're talking about the expressions and morphs. So if you're making a custom animation with bento hands, but you also want the default hand morphs to work, then you have to set this window accordingly. Okay. So that's all the features in the properties window for Avastar. Are there any other features? One last thing I want to talk about with Avastar is if right now we don't see all the meshes with the default app. Okay, so if we do want to see, if we go into our outliner and we click on, we're selected on our rig and open this up. This is the rig we're selected on. And we go down to Avatar Meshes. We can open up this window and see these are all the meshes, the default meshes from Second Life. And we can click on these little eyeballs and we will see, I think all of these are out of place because I messed around with the rig earlier. But yeah, you just click on these eyeballs, or you could click and hold and show or hide them. So real easily. And what do we don't need that. And hair. Okay. But that's a quick look at Avastar. If anybody has any questions, I think we're going to end this stream pretty soon here. I don't want to get into too many of the features because I think getting into each individual feature is probably its own video. So I just wanted to do a quick overview of some of the Avastar features. And I don't think I'm leaving anything out now. So I think that's going to be it for the video today. Have a good one, everyone. I am going to try and live stream the content creation meeting today. That's going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Second Life Standard Time, or Second Life Time. So that's the video today. Have a good one, everyone.